Alright, welcome back everybody. So, why do I have so much stuff highlighted? Anyways, so, I did a small bit of cleanup off camera. I just kind of cleaned up this front area a little bit. Um, kind of moved some of the dirt around. Yeah, I just made sure that everything lined up properly and looked correct. So, I say we're doing a pretty good job so far. With keeping everything in line and nice and even in all possible ways. Oh, thought I saw an Enderman there for a second. Need a torch there. So, what I think we're going to end up doing today is probably redoing this little fishing hut as well as putting in the garden. So, I think the first thing we're going to end up doing is... the first thing we're going to end up doing is probably clearing out all of this. Alright, and with everything all nicely cleared up, we can finally start actually, putting the farm in. So, obviously, for most of everything that I'm doing with this farm, I wanted to make it efficient, and I think I was planning way too far ahead for most everything that ended up happening, because I ended up going with circles, and as everybody knows, circles are inferior to the strongest shape in all of the world, which is a triangle. The triangle is superior. That is my mistake. Unfortunately, building a triangle in Minecraft is extremely difficult to do, so I ended up having to go with the inferior circle instead. I also decided to make it 3 circles right next to each other, and you can type out in the comments, "Oh, this isn't a circle, it's a bad square." Shut up. I didn't ask if it was a circle. But I ended up going with this weird circle, not circle, and had them all connecting together throughout the entire thing, just to make it easier for me to get from one to the other during my planting process and harvesting. Now, for some godforsaken reason, I was having trouble with figuring out most of the roofing for the entire thing, especially about how to connect it all together. I ended up changing how I wanted the part of the roof as well as the glass to end up looking for most of it. Luckily, I hadn't smelted barely anything yet because I didn't have the foresight to do such a thing. How could I? I'm sorry about the zombie, it's quite annoying, I know. It's even more annoying when you're in game trying to deal with it. Now I'm going down to the mine because I realized I was out of stone and now I'm back magically. You're welcome for the whiplash. Don't charge me. I don't have insurance. But once I got enough of the stone, I finally figured out how to finalize what all I was doing. I think I was thinking way too far ahead for the use of bees because I ended up putting down a bunch of stone that wasn't necessary, but that'll get corrected later. As well as I'm really admiring all of my handiwork with each of the things. As you can see here, I'm trying to incorporate rice into the little bits, but I ended up hating that, so I went with an entire rice pond instead because it was just going to be easier to do. And I would hate myself less by doing it. At about this point, I realized that I was completely out of iron, so I then went over to the iron farm and I sat there for about 3 days in Minecraft and tried to get as much possible iron, and I ended up only getting about 22. Now you're going to follow my chaotic brain as I lead a few cows back to the farm because for some reason I thought I really needed cows, even though I hadn't fully finished the crop portion of my farm yet. And then I got the wild idea that I'm just going to start building a cow farm, an auto cow farm. Now, I ended up forgetting how to do this, so I had to look it up later, but you get to deal with all this mayhem with me as I rediscover all of the problems that comes with having a cow farm, especially in modded Minecraft. I always forget that mods and such make things look a little differently and function a bit differently. It was at about this point I realized that I needed to go back to the mines because I just yearned for them so much. I was running out of all sorts of materials and I really wanted more things because I am a greedy son of a bitch who likes things, and I'm honestly surprised that I fought that many cave spiders because I am a wuss when it comes to cave spiders. I do not ever mess with them. Looks like I traded materials for materials and a little bit of experience just because I was in the mines and I didn't feel like going back up. During which I ended up discovering all of these lovely crystals, which I can't avoid crystals. I love them, I hoard them. They're just so shiny. It reminds me of playing D&D, shiny math rocks. And then I cleared out most of these cobwebs to get to some of the good stuff. I ended up getting lost in here actually, so that was fun. And that is the reason why I do have cheats enabled. You can tell me that I play the game wrong and I'll tell you to go hug your mom because you can't play a game wrong, especially like Minecraft. It's a very nice game and you can make it however you want. I did end up finding some diamonds. That was great. I did celebrate quite a bit when I was finding those diamonds. And I spent most of the rest of my time just trying to get more diamonds and obviously trying to go after these spiders. God, I hate the cave spiders. They're the worst things in the world. find a whole bunch more iron because I had officially deemed that my iron farm was ineffective and useless. 3 days and only 22 iron ingots, that's not effective at all, especially since I was still getting iron golems spawning in my camp. That's uncalled for. I'll figure out a method for that. I think it's because I'm too close to the villagers and they keep trying to get to my stuff. But it's my stuff, not their stuff. So, as you can see, I'm clearly reorganizing everything. I'm struggling to figure out how to get everything back up to the surface because I am a little goblin that loves collecting things, unfortunately. And during my collection process, I get too greedy, but I did end up coming back to the surface, to which I set up a whole bunch of my things and make it all nice and pretty again, even if I can't fully use it. Fish! I need to go fishing. Shirts. I need fish! String! Sticks. Whap. Now, before you all start running over to the comments saying how my fishing shack is horrible, I'm gonna fix that right about now. Now, in case you didn't see it because you have a small brain, tiny brain, no thoughts in them, I will put a better photo of what it looks like a little bit later on, but that's the gist of it. Now, I did end up spending quite a bit of time trying to collect these bees. Bees do tend to be quite annoying. And I had to kill, obviously, the iron golem. They cannot step on my turf, obviously. I mostly spent the rest of this video just kind of tidying up not only my house, but also the garden as well as the fishing spot, trying to make it look nice and pretty, and I just couldn't really settle for anything. It all just felt ugly, if that is even the correct word that I would want to use for it. But most of the rest of this is just tidying everything up because I hate being unorganized. It drives me actually insane. I also like making my house look pretty. I am going to be here for a while, so I might as well make it look pretty and attempt to kill myself while doing it, making all these backpack shelves. But what do I know? I'm just dumb. I am just dumb, stupid head. But I did end up liking how most of this spiraling staircase looked for my shelving units and such, so I decided to keep with it for most of the time. Now, I did struggle a little bit with trying to get clear item frames. I learned that you had to use sand to get glass, and then you had to make an item frame out of glass. That is a really weird thing to do, and a really weird sentence that came out of my mouth. But no matter. I did end up collecting quite a bit of this glass in order to send it everywhere and make my house look so much more put together and so much more detailed. I did get a little distracted by finding a giant water pool of a well, and then I ran and stole more things from a village nearby, including their cows. They do not deserve to live, those stupid things. There honestly wasn't too much to loot other than a little bit of food and gold, as well as finding a waystone to teleport back to home. During most of my travels, though, I did end up finding a blue book merchant, which was going to be very helpful for later, especially with getting to the Aether, whatever place is part of one of these mod packs. I honestly don't keep track of most of it at this point. And then I did end up heading home, finishing up with most of what I was making for all of these lovely adventures, finally remembering what I had gone on my original adventure for in the first place, which was to get glass so I could make clear item frames. So with me having most everything else organized, I'm going to say this right now. I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. We're going to end it on a peaceful note, but just keep in mind, if you want to hear more stupid content like this, then hit the subscribe button. You don't have to, it doesn't matter that much. And if you enjoyed it, please come back around. I tend to die a lot while I'm making videos, and then I come back to life. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching.